I'm Shannon from MetsPolice.com. Welcome to the panel we call Meet the Mets Executives. These are the Mets executives, so please welcome them with your applause. I'm going to start at the far end. Mark Fine, Senior Director of Marketing. Welcome.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having us.
Katie Mahon is Executive Director of Ticket Sales. Hello. Harold Kaufman, Executive Director of Communications. We haven't met other than today, but I missed a couple of the meetings, but great for coming on out. And Will Carafello is, he's the poor guy that has to read all my stupid tweets all the time. He's the Director of Social Media. So we're going to talk to these guys about various things with their groups. Will, I'm going to, you know what, no, I'll come to you in a second. First, let's do with you guys, we'll start at the far end with Mark. Tell us a little about what you do in English other than, a title. Let's start there. So what do you do with the Mets?
It's a great question. So technically, as you mentioned, I'm the Senior Director of Marketing, and my role is to work with kind of our revenue-generating departments, which consist of ticket sales and sponsorship, venue services, our Metropolitan Hospitality Group. Essentially, we're responsible for our marketing and advertising outreach to the entire marketplace. So we put together our creative, Brandon and Alexa, you're familiar with them, along with the full promotional schedule. And that's something that we, work incredibly hard in the off season to prepare for the 81 games that take place during the season. You got to do a lot of work in the off season, certainly, to be ready for the season.
And Katie?
Katie Mahon, Executive Director of Ticket Sales, which is pretty self-explanatory, actually. In its simplest form, I work and oversee a few different departments of our ticket sales group. So primarily our account executive new business team. If you've got a plan with us, a partial plan, then that's who you are most likely dealing with. Our premium sales team, but then also our retention team and group sales. So my other part of my role is to work very closely with all of these guys up here at the table to kind of make sure that what we're doing in the ticket sales world is right alongside all of our other strategies and goals for the organization.
Harold?
Yes, I, under communications, handle a lot of the business PR, the internal PR. We try to influence a lot of the different processes, and sometimes there's moments you have to serve as a team spokesman, and many of you know the great Jay Horowitz, and so he and I work closely together on different projects and things. So that sort of capsulizes. It'll entail media training. It'll entail just all different elements of communications and PR and media relations, sort of the conduit between the media and the team.
So before I get to my buddy Will here, Harold, you mentioned Jay. Now Jay is awesome, right? Can you just explain to the world what Jay's job is? Because sometimes Jay will take social media flack for things that are not his job. So Jay's responsibilities are media-based, right? He's
Yes.
to get player interviews and connect with the media, not to come up with the magic is back.
Right, the connection of helping make the transition easy for a player to communicate their messages to the public, and that's through it's a thankless job because he's dealing with 11 beat writers on a daily basis, and columnists and editors. So you're talking about a lot of different requests that come in regularly, and you have to balance that because you can't accommodate everybody and every request, but you do have to pick and choose and decide what makes the most sense, what's in the player's best interest, what's in the reader's best interest, what's in the organization's best interest, and he does a great job in balancing all of that.
Yeah, so I just want to take a minute as a fan of Jay's to stick up for him, because he tends to catch flack just because he's a name that people know, and you'll see why is Jay doing such and such? So we're all Mets fans. We like to complain. I'm one of the biggest complainers, and I admit it. Think for a second that this guy has been working in New York City media for 30 years, and nobody has a bad thing to say about him. Understand the accomplishment that really is. So wherever Jay Horowitz is, congratulations, Jay. There you go. And then, we've probably been in the same room 3 times, but I feel like we're buddies. Will Karafeld, I got to cheat in here. That's Mark Fine, Director of Social Media.
Yep,
So you're the guy that has to read my annoying tweets.
that's me. Yeah. Despite what everyone thinks, I make no decisions on the player roster, any moves that we make. I know I suck. I've gotten all of those before, so that's exactly what I do. I handle all the social media. So, in addition to reading all of the stuff that does come in, it is planning and scheduling all of the content that we put out across our social media platforms, as well as working with our players throughout the system. So, the guys in the locker room right here, as well as Vegas and throughout the system, helping them with their social media questions and making sure they don't get into any trouble with it. So,
Do you go through all those tweets? I can't imagine the amount of incoming tweets.
no, I definitely don't get to all of them. I attempt to. The goal is to obviously engage with the fans who have legitimate questions or want to interact with the Mets. So I'm looking for those, but there's no way I can get through all of them. Yeah.
And how do you sort through the trolls is the term on the internet, my word, not yours, but the trolls versus hey, Jacob deGrom had an awesome game today, let's go @ Mets.
Yeah, I mean, I use a couple of different platforms that'll help filter that stuff. But yeah, I mean, there's a good mix of passionate fans and angry angry passionate fans at times. So I mean, the goal is again to interact with those fans that are that do legitimately want an interaction with the Mets. So
It's one of the games I like to play in my mind is 1986 social media, and I imagine us all on Twitter the night of Game 6 going, I can't believe they're going to lose this game. The Mets suck. This is the worst season, and then suddenly us all getting excited. So I find your job fun.
It is. No, I mean, I truly enjoy it. I do get to interact with all of you. I don't know you by name, but if you told me your handle, I would definitely know who you are. So yeah, no, it is. I do enjoy it.
I mentioned earlier, I just said the phrase, the magic is back. I've been obsessed with that slogan probably since it came out. But for Christmas, I treated myself to some old Lee Mazzilli posters that have the slogan on it. And the person I bought it from included some extra Subway ads. Anybody here was alive in 1980 other than me? Yes? Okay, the magic is back, right? So I've got this awesome Craig Swan Subway ad, and I keep staring at the magic is back, and it's like, I love that slogan. So to whoever wants to field it, can I convince you to bring that slogan back? And in lieu of that, is there a slogan for this year?
Well, there is no slogan this year, just like last year. There was no slogan last year. So we don't have a particular tagline or slogan such as the magic is back. In our advertising creative this year, as we did last year, for us, we want to promote the Citi Field experience. It's very of the utmost importance to us in marketing throughout the organization is that we increase attendance and we get you out to the ballpark. That's really where it starts, because if you come out to the ballpark, it shows that our TV ratings are up, our sponsorship revenue is up, and obviously our ticket sales would be up. So it's really of the utmost importance to us to provide fans with promotional items, and we did a great job, I think, last year of branding for the first time Free Shirt Fridays, and this year we'll call it Super Saturdays and Family Sundays. So for us, we want to provide those brands to you and promote those brands to encourage folks to come out to the ballpark.
And it seemed like the Free Shirt Friday worked really well. Like from afar, it seemed like it worked better than T-Shirt Tuesday, maybe just because we don't have to get up on Saturday.
Absolutely. So what we did last year in marketing was really focus on our weekends. All of our surveying that came back after the 2013 season showed us that, look, the most important thing for you as to whether or not to come to a game is actually the day of the week. Is actually when it's most convenient for you. So we wanted to kind of double up, per se, on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And you'll see for our promotional schedule this year, all of our promotions, with the exception of opening day, all of our promotional items are being given away on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. And, our goal, our attendance was up last year by a few percentage points. Our Saturdays were up by over 8 percentage points, and our Sundays were up by over 3. So we saw that those efforts worked, and we wanted to make those days really impactful and really important to those fans who attended. And realizing that many fans in this room might not need a promotional item to come to the game. They're there to watch baseball, and absolutely that's important. But the masses that we're trying to reach outside of the hardcore fans, those promotional items are very are very interesting to them, and I would imagine to you guys as well.
So gun to my head, I would imagine that the Saturday night concerts helped contribute to the Saturday attendance being up over the previous year. So what are some of the concerts this year? What's the decision-making process into what act you might pick over another act? I'm sure part of that is availability, who's touring. But do you profile me and go, he likes Huey Lewis? So what's the thought process behind the concerts?
Sure. So last year we had 4 concert series dates. I believe it was the 3rd year. This will be our 4th year holding post-game concerts. We're going to have 3 this year. We've announced 2 of them, Steve Miller Band and Heart. We're looking at a 3rd act that we should have an announcement on by the end of the month. And the decision-making goes to, what our fans want, what our fans are interested in, along with, somewhat trying to get a younger crowd. I mean, one of the biggest target audiences in our marketing group is trying to get kids to come out to games and starting it from the moment of birth, creating a Mets fan, throughout the stages of life. And, for us, some of the acts that we've had in the past, including some of the acts that we'll have this year, are because fans are really interested in those acts. And, it's packaged in. It's a day at the ballpark. We also moved our concert series dates. In 2013, they were on Friday nights. We also moved those to Saturdays, and we saw a great response from that.
So you lead me to 2 questions there. So one is, you talk about making the Met fan for life, and I've been successfully brainwashing my now 11-year-old son into being a Mets fan. When he was 8, he would sometimes mention there's some other team. But he has completely stopped doing that, and he's on board now, and we would go to games on Saturday. Mm-hmm. But what's interesting from the dad perspective is dad and son, we tend to have the most fun we tend to have is like from 6 o'clock till about 8:30. He loves the ice cream part of the night, or maybe we'll catch Mr. Met, or can I do Kiddie Field, or can I do the batting cage? As you get later into the game, we're baseball fans, so the 2-1 game, we sit there to the final out, and sometimes we'll catch the Mets are winning 27-0, so we start thinking about beating traffic. So are there other ways that you can cultivate that younger fan? And I think you've done a great job in the corner. The corner is awesome, but I want him to take over my stupid blog someday, so I need to keep him loving this.
No, it's a great question. And Shannon, the Cubs took a lot of heat last year when they introduced the mascot, and very hardcore, respected journalists said, "This is ridiculous. How could they do that?" And some of the pro tweets of having a mascot said, well, that probably works for the target audience that they're going after. And I would tend to agree that works for the target audience, kids that they're going after. For us, specifically on Sundays, is why we wanted to brand it as Family Sundays. Not that the other 6 days of the week aren't just as family friendly, but Sundays being a family day just in households, and for the most part, last year all of our games were at 1:10 p.m., we wanted to have from nuts to bolts from the beginning of the day when you walk off the 7 line and you're on Mets Plaza, and we had free entertainment in terms of inflatables and face painting and a caricature artist and balloon animals. So when you go into the game where most of the time it was a kids giveaway, last year was like a cereal bowl. This year we're doing poster sets and other items to the game itself. And then after the game, every kid gets to run the bases after the game. And you know that. So when you wake up on Sunday, if you don't have tickets, you know what to expect. Whether it be you and your son or the entire family, you know what you're getting those days when you come to the ballpark. We did a complete rebrand of our kids club last year as well. So in 2013, I just didn't think it was that great. I didn't think we didn't think that the fans were getting a lot of value out of it, and we wanted it to completely rebrand it. We now call it the Mr. Mets Kids Club. It's based around trying to get families to come out to the game, and it rewards kids who check in. This year, you get 10 complimentary tickets for the paid membership, which is $29. The free membership, you get 4 complimentary ticket vouchers. So it's really worthwhile for folks who have kids to check into. And I know I've got a 7-year-old boy and a 5-year-old girl. They come every Sunday. They wear their lanyard. They check in. They get to give away items, and it's really a great way to introduce fans. I mean, our Fan Fest area, it's always packed, and on Sundays, it's really packed. And again, there's all sorts of different types of fans. There are fans who want to watch the game from first inning through ninth inning. And then there's my 7-year-old and your kid who is pretty interested in the ice cream and is pretty interested in T-ball at Fan Fest. Running the bases after the game.
Katie, close your ears for a second. So, Mark, as a dad, I've been looking at the kids club thing. How do I beat the system and max my games? I want to go with my son. I don't want to bring the rest of the family. How do I max my games?
We obviously talked about that, folks who might try and beat the system. And we still decided, hey, we want to do this. We want to get folks out. It's very important for us to get kids out. And that's not just us. That's any team in Major League Baseball. That's any team in sports. You have to start them young. For us, it was important that we, for a relatively cheap price at $29 for a paid membership, provide as much as we can to get those kids excited. And our renewal rate already of Kids Club members is very high because of that. So we're seeing great positives from it.
So smile on my face aside, as a dad, so my son joins the club and I buy a ticket separately, or how does it work? How do I actually go with my son?
So because you have to the club is for 14 and under, and you essentially have to sign up for the club. 13 and over is what required by law. If you're going to put your email address on, you're going to get the ticket vouchers mailed to you. You have the option of having the T-shirt mailed to you. If not, you can just come the first Sunday of the year and pick all that up at the Kids Club table, which is out in Fan Fest. And where we find one of the biggest perks of the paid membership versus the free is that line after the game for the kids for the run the bases. Orange members, the paid members, go to the front of the line, and there are some dads that we see in that line. They pay a lot more than $29 to take advantage of the paid membership to move to the front of the line. But that is one of the key perks of the club, along with a T-shirt and prizes and recognition.
So I had a follow-up question about the concert series.
Mm-hmm.
So again, focus group of 1 or 2, one guy in the upper deck. I struggled at maybe 2 of the concerts with, it appeared there were Mets fans there at 6:30. And then the concert crowd came in at 8:45 and weren't really interested in the game. Were interested in having a cup in their hand. And there was one game I left. We stopped having fun. And I'm sure that was not what you're trying to accomplish. Mets fans, plus we have a business here. We want to fill the park. So, how do you navigate the desire to have a good experience for all? Because my ticket is no more important than the person who just wanted to say Huey Lewis. We're both there. We're both right. But how can we all get along better?
That's something that we definitely have to be wary of. And Shannon, I read your post after the game as well. So, look, we want to appeal to everybody, and we want everybody to have a fun and safe experience. So, again, if somebody is preventing you from having that experience, please let us know. That is of the utmost importance to us. And, I think the folks in here who come to our games, they know that we do our very best to try and make everybody's experience exceptional and memorable. It's incredibly important to us. Yes, we're going to continue to have things like the concert series and fireworks nights because we do want to reach out to the masses and we want to fill the ballpark. And again, as I said kind of at the beginning, a full ballpark. There's nothing like the ballpark experience. And I think in the live event marketing world right now, with the TV experience being so exceptional, even the NFL has issues where there's teams getting blacked out and so on and so forth. For us as live event marketers, it's very important that you enjoy your experience here, because I think we all know being in that seat and being here, there's nothing like it. There's just, as much as we love watching the game on TV or listening on radio, being here in person, there really is no experience like that at any sporting event.
Is there anything, for anybody, is there anything new at the park this year that, and I get it if you can't announce it yet, there's, PR reasons to hold back on anything, but is there anything cool? Can you even hint at, there's a new secret taco stand. Can we get an exclusive out of anybody?
We're working on some things from the venue services end in terms of, as you mentioned on the food part, that unfortunately we're not ready to announce yet. It still has some work to be done. For us, we went so different in strategy in 2014 from any previous year with our promotional schedule. Again, going all fans with Free Shirt Fridays and moving our concert series to Saturdays and our fireworks to Saturdays and branding Family Sundays, that we're continuing with that approach in year two as those things take some time to brand, but from what we can tell and fan feedback and their sentiment is those things were well accepted in 14. We're going to continue and make those better in 15.
So over the years, I've had partial plans, and they've changed over the years. There were 15-game plans, 10-game, pick your own. Last year, there was a focus towards the weekend plans, which made sense. But then this year was a different version of weekend plans. Can you speak to that? And how do you try and capture the magic of, I get it, you want to sell tickets, but it seems to be evolving. Is that because of consumer behavior? Is it because the team hasn't won 100 games? Or why does Plan B seem to change every year? I guess it's my top level question.
I think all of those things come into consideration when we are developing and planning for what we'll be offering. And like you said, Shannon, I started at the Mets just before the 2011 season. And every year until last year to this year, it has varied a little bit. But to your point too, Shannon, a lot of what we're looking at is we're trying to create a product and offer something to fans that matches, as Mark mentioned, what you're looking to do. And again, our survey and research information comes back that Friday, Saturday, Sundays are it. So we went back last year to those more set Friday, Saturday, and Sunday plans, and have definitely seen at first kind of a steady increase, and now it's kind of a little bit more of a snowball effect increase we're getting a very positive response, and this is what people are interested in doing. And I think, Shannon, you alluded to, we had some of those more flexible pick-a-packs in past years, which are great, and again, that goes to trying to offer the fan and the customer what you're looking for. To sort of counteract that with these weekend plans, we've got that much more of a flexible exchange policy, which those of you with partial plans are hopefully familiar with. And if you're not, talk to your rep about it, because that's what they're there for and we're here for, to make sure that we're providing for you the best experience that matches what you are looking to do as often as possible. So hopefully we've kind of started to zero in on what people are looking for every season. And allowing, too, as those weekend games become that much more popular, that we're giving our plan holders the first and best shot at having access to those seats for those games, because that's who we want there first and that's who we want there often.
As a plan holder, I kept forgetting that system existed. My rep is fantastic, and would keep reminding me, just trade in your tickets, stop complaining. Oh yeah, that's right, I could trade in my tickets. But at some point, it gets late enough in the year. My kids play soccer. Every year when I would get the Saturday plan, I wouldn't pick any games in September. And my guy would be like, well, you don't think we're going to make the playoffs? I'm like, no, I can't go. We have soccer games. So I would load up the front end of the season. So one of the things I try and do is not just endlessly complain. And I love to complain, but I like to complain plus throw out a suggestion. And again, I don't have all the facts. I'm just a guy sitting at home with a laptop. could you do a scenario where there's some sort of credit? Because the other part of this is, all right, let me hold off on that, total sidebar. So one of the things I personally, focus group of one, struggled with last year were the discounted tickets. However, because I'm a huge hypocrite, in past years, and you could read my silly Mets Police blog, I had said, why don't they fill the place and sell $1 tickets? So you did. So you did 2 for $28. You did exactly what Jerky Face with the blog said to do, and then I didn't like it because I had paid $35 and someone else got in for $14 and I was mad. How do you deal with an idiot like me? And you know, I try and come up with something. So could you go, hey, you know what, we know you're a cool guy and you buy tickets, give me $21 on account to 2016, or it doesn't work that way, or I'm going to stop talking.
Yeah, I mean, you raise lots of good questions, good points, and certainly ones that we in our ticket office hear from a lot of people a lot of the time. And these are most of the conversations that I have by the time it gets to me are along these lines. And we certainly understand where everyone is coming from. You know, I was a baseball fan long before I worked anywhere at all. So to look at it from those perspectives is important, and it's important for me and for us to have those conversations to understand what's important to you as a fan and what you're looking to get from us and out of your experience, not just by coming to the game, but being that plan holder, being that much more ingrained in our Mets organization family. So we are always looking at those things, and I think, Shannon, what the most important thing I like to convey to people and our reps convey is we're not just making these decisions willy-nilly without thinking about it and trying to keep everyone's best interest in mind. Mark and Harold and Will can attest, these are conversations that we have at length sometimes to do our best to make sure we are taking care of everybody. So something like the 2 for $28, we're strategic about that. Yes, it's a creative way to get more people into the ballpark, but we are very careful to keep seating locations separate from our customers, such as our plan holders, who are committing to us for a longer amount of time and much further in advance. It doesn't always work out perfectly, or it may not work on the day that it's happening versus what your plan is. So, you know, we do our best on those days, and like Mark said, what we're trying to do is get as many people in the ballpark to create a better experience, to move us to that point where we don't need to be offering those things, and that our plan holders are way ahead of the curve because you've got your tickets in your seats and have for a long time. And when the people who decide, maybe I'll come out to a game once because of this offer, think, oh, hey, it's hard to get tickets to a Mets game I want to try, and they are way at the back of the line. It's sort of that cycle that we kind of have to dip our toes in that water now, but it's not something that we at all plan on being permanent. And again, we're constantly looking at it. Things like you said about some sort of credit system, sure, that's something we could look into. It probably is tricky to cross over seasons from, financial, business, other reasons that I probably couldn't even speak to, but things like that are why it's good for us to have conversations with our fans on the phone in forums like this, because that helps us continue to have that dialogue and to come up with ideas and ways that we can make these things the best offering, and again, provide the best experience for everybody who's coming out. Does that sort of answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
So a few years ago, the great boogeyman was dynamic pricing. The fear is the Mets are going to be playing the Giants. It's 80 degrees, sunny, low humidity. It's free ice cream day, and Matt Harvey is 18-5 in pitching.
That's a fear?
And the fear is the Mets are going to go, and upper level seats are $183 today. Has that actually happened? It's definitely gone down. Has it actually ever dynamic priced up? And what's the realistic version of that?
Yeah.
And what would it look like? You know what? It's 80 degrees, it's sunny, Mets, Giants, Matt Harvey's 18-5, and it's free ice cream day.
I can give you an example that you probably remember. And to preface this, last year we didn't do as much dynamic pricing. And again, demand has a lot to do with it. The biggest thing about dynamic pricing is it does give us that flexibility to sort of react to the market and to demand. It helps us stay in line and counteract secondary market a little bit better too. So it gives us flexibility in years like last year where we may not want to or have that opportunity to raise, it still offers that flexibility in the event that we need to. What stands out in my mind, and probably the best example of where dynamic pricing fits into your example, Shannon, was July 3rd, 2012. And if you can remember what was happening here then, we were playing the Phillies. It was middle of the summer. It was July 4th. I want to say it was a Tuesday night on the 3rd. So July 4th was a Wednesday. Most people had that day off, but were not traveling because it wasn't a weekend to have bigger holiday plans. So a lot of people, I think, were in town. Weather was good. We were still very relevant at that point in the 2012 season. We'd had a very strong first half. We're a month after Johan's no-hitter. So there were a lot of things kind of coming together that made that July 3rd game a sleeper surprise of a sellout for us. And it was leading up that day or two before, and we're looking at our inventory and thinking, where are all these seats going? We were selling off the charts 24 to 48 hours before game time. And that's when we really had the opportunity and saw, okay, this is where dynamic pricing kicks in. So if you haven't gotten your ticket yet, well, we can play with this a little bit and see what does this allow us to just kind of get a little bit more out of this, and really, it does two things. It gets a little bit more out as we get closer to the game, but it also helps to validate those of you who have purchased prior to the game and far in advance that, okay, yeah, I'm doing the right thing here. I'm ahead of the curve, and now I can get in without having to worry about it, and everybody else who's waiting till the last minute, well, they can come, but it's adding that much more to the product that you're purchasing. So with any luck, we are headed towards having more of those situations where all of those things are coming together and that demand is up. And it's not just, as everyone here knows, it's not just the team performance. There are a lot of other factors at work. But I think that example is one of kind of similar to your Giants example, where things like that do and can happen. And it makes it fun because we know we have all these people coming into the ballpark. And again, as we've all talked about, being in a full ballpark, there's nothing like it. And it's exciting for everybody to kind of see that whole day at work. We're all psyched to just see and watch everybody coming in starting at 5 o'clock that night, and it really helps just add to the experience.
So I'm looking at my watch here. We got to start heading for home. Who's sneaking in early for the Wally Backman panel? Yeah. Okay, don't give up your seat, I'm telling you. But, I wanted to spend some time with Harold. Welcome to New York. How do you find us again? As I said earlier, we were all cranky the night of Game 6 in '86. Oh, the stupid Mets. How are you finding us versus the nice folks of New Orleans?
Well, it's a great welcome. It's a little colder up here. That's been a problem. I've got a new wardrobe, but no, my first introduction when I guess the announcement was made and I received this job, I had an immediate new family of friends, and it was mainly on Twitter and Facebook, and I'd show my kids and I'd say, look at this, these people are all reaching out to me. They're saying, if I don't play shortstop, I need to turn around and go on back home now, or if I don't, if I can't bring in such and such player. I said, look at this, guys, I got all these new friends. She said, Dad, if those are your friends, you got to get out of there now. You're in trouble. But no, it's been great. New York's the pulse. In communications, you dream of working in a market like this. And one thing I've learned just from observing is I understood quickly that New York's a baseball town. Number one, there is a passion like no other. I'm floored. This crowd here today, an event like this, I'm just floored. It's different in that it's more plentiful. There's a lot more of it. There's 11 beat writers in New Orleans. We had one. My background was in basketball in the NBA. I was with the Hornets in Charlotte. I was with the Pelicans and Hornets in New Orleans. So I know it went from 82 games to 162 games. I thought basketball was a long season, but it's great. It's interesting too. An example was the fence dimensions, which everyone's familiar with, bringing in the fences a little bit. And I was just floored that there was a day where I think there were 3 stories in the New York Times about moving fences in 10 feet. I'm like, this is a different world here, and it's great. And I would mentioned it to Sandy. It was like, well, welcome to New York. And but you love that. That's the common thread that we all have is we're passionate about it, and we're passionate about the team, and it's just it's an exciting time too, particularly this off season to be here.
And it's funny, and this applies to Will as well. Because of this, things have just changed. In 1987, I wasn't on Twitter following Tom Seaver's attempted comeback in Tidewater, going, "What's on?" Or, there wouldn't have been a way in 1980 for me to either like or dislike and strongly express it to you, Will, the fence. And it's a 24/7 media. Like, when do you guys get up at like 4:30 in the morning and go, "Oh my God, I got to see if they're mad about shortstop today"?
It's sort of funny. We have get through the clips can be the first hour and a half of your morning, just to get through the clips, and then you want to look at all the radio reports, and then you want to look at the blog reports. So there's a lot of reading to do, as Will can attest to also.
Mine's only in 140 characters at a time.
Yeah, that's right. So we've got a few minutes left. My contingent will beat me up in the schoolyard if I do not ask you to bring back Old Timers Day. So I won't just throw you under the Old Timers Day bus. I know that the organization has taken a different approach and feel that there's more value to regularly bringing out alumni in groups, and there are several prominent alumni. John Franco comes to mind, who's around the ballpark all the time. We see some folks, less frequently, but where are we with honoring the past as we head into 2015?
I think that we do hear the sentiment certainly for an old-timers game, and how we utilize our alums in the community and at the ballpark. We've taken the approach that we'd like to use them more frequently individually at the ballpark, versus bringing them back, one particular date. I will say we have the 30th anniversary of a very special team coming up in 2016. Certainly our focus is on 15, but fair to say that we look at certainly honoring that team in 2016.
Did you guys hear what he said? You just got an exclusive. Say that again, Mark. Because one of those guys is about.
I don't
to
want to
walk in
break
this room.
news. Certainly with the 30th anniversary of the '86 team, one of the most electric teams in sports history. We will be recognizing that team. I mean, we've just started to talk about that now. But again, our focus is on 2015 right now and getting through the 15 season, making it successful, and then we'll get there. But, more or less, we're really excited for 2015. And from a ticket sales standpoint, we're way up. Your passion, and just like Harold said, filling this room to see us is pretty overwhelming. We're really excited, and hopefully you guys are as well.
So what do you say we open up 2016 where Keith Hernandez holds up the 2015 World Series trophy and hands it to David Wright? Right? Okay. I'm going to get out on that note because I'm not going to top that. This thing flew. Thank you, guys. I hope we can do QBC next year. If we do it again, will you come?
Definitely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Hopefully we'll do QBC 16 and we can have these guys back. This really flew. I could go another hour with you. Wally Backman will be in this room next. Anybody heard of Wally Backman? I'm just going for cheap applause. There we go. Okay. This was the Mets Executives Panel. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks.